It's a Matter of Principles by EDU TV.
Navigating Global Horizons with Mr. Ajay Singh, Principal, the Scindia School, Gwalior, India, on EDU TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed viewers, welcome to EDU TV's Navigating Global Horizons. Our distinguished speaker, Mr. Ajay Singh, principal of the Scindia School, brings a wealth of experience, having led prestigious schools like Genesis Global School, Noida, and Punjab Public School, Nabha. Under his leadership, the Scindia School continues to thrive, standing as a beacon of academic excellence and character building. We are honored to be guided through this enlightening journey by Mrs. Natasha Chopra, the director of TCG, the Chopra's Global. With over 2 decades of experience in counseling students for higher education abroad, Mrs. Chopra's expertise is unparalleled. Without further delay, let's welcome Mr. Ajay Singh to share his insights on educational leadership. Over to you, Mrs. Chopra.
Thank you very much, Pranav, and to Tanya and to EDU TV for this platform to have the opportunity to meet up with Mr. Ajay Singh. What an impressive profile you have as an eminent educationist. You have won many accolades, international awards, both from home and abroad. And of course, you've gone on to from one prestigious school to another elite school, and then of course the recognition from the Punjab Public School, Nabha. So it's really a wonderful opportunity to be able to have this conversation with you.
Thank you so much.
Given you were heading the national curriculum at CBSE as well. So given your experience, we're keen to understand how you think the NEP that we now have, how this will help us and our students to be future ready, to be global Indian students, and to be not just for India, but for when they go overseas as well.
Right, that's a very relevant question actually, because NEP has ushered in a lot of promises, and I firmly believe that these promises are for all the leaders across and the teachers across in the school domain to make it successful. It promises a lot of changes which are vital to the question that you have raised as to the readiness of the students, which actually has been a gap for me, because the school to the industry is what I call a gap. The schooling is happening, the schooling till 12th is happening. However, the skilling and the readiness to be able to match up to the standards of the industry is where the gap has been, and it was a big gap actually. So this talk about integrating subjects, this talk about breaking down subjects into different kind of choices at 9th and 10th, then 11th and 12th, makes the world open up, right? So a student will not be bogged down by the monumental syllabi which he had to encounter. He can reduce it, he can work hard towards it, and make choice as per his requirements. Now that's where the NEP also empowers the student to have more information, so that he can take a choice right in the class 9th itself, not wait till 11th. So 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th now becomes a continuum, which is a very, very good change to have. If you look at the international studies also and Indian studies also. So this continuum is what I'm excited about. Secondly, when we bring in things which have not been actually dealt with in the school, especially the skilling, the vocational things, which were not a part of the regular curriculum.
Yes.
It was the marks-oriented approach which we generally had, and the practicals also, if we are very honest about it, was not challenging. So now comes a situation where I think we'll be more connected with real life situations because the subjects are getting integrated, which is a very good step. There is a multidisciplinary thing happening, which is a very good step. Because when you look at the world, the problems don't happen in compartments, they happen in togetherness.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. This broadens the horizon, and I'm really confident about NEP.
There's a planet in a galaxy far away that's saying, "Come visit me." There's a forest fire in the Amazon that's saying, "Come stop me." There's a robot in a secret lab in Japan that's saying, "Make me smarter." A really smart car in Sweden that's saying, "Make me faster." A really fast database server in Nevada that's saying, "Make me safer." This is your planet. And it promises you everything. Which brings us to you and what you would like to do. Your choices are, in a word, limitless. But to tap into the limitless, there's one thing you'll have to be: borderless. Come study anywhere in the world in 3 simple steps. Discover, shortlist, apply. TC Global. Be borderless.
One of the things is that we've compartmentalized subjects so much that you are either science or you are arts or you're humanities, where actually they all merge in together. And this is, and I think the NEP just certainly helps with that process, where you are able to take subjects from different, streams. When we talk about AI, for example, I mean, AI, okay, it's very science and STEM based and so on, but AI also needs a philosophy behind it on how it is to be run. So you do need people with both this, and that I think, you've voiced perfectly in that respect. The other thing that actually has been very concerning, I mean, we guide students, we've been helping them, for the last almost 30 years, is very concerning that the weaker student in academics, they may have other skills, is the one that ends up suffering. And you look at the subjects that are being taught in the way that they are, it's for the academically strong people. The others seem to get left behind. So with the NEP and with your school, how are you going to help those students who may not be the 90%ers and so on? How are they being helped in the process to be future ready?
This is a very relevant question, because we as school should never be a quality control mechanism to be able to only take students who are 90% and above. The schooling should be open to all.
Yes.
Even because the NEP firmly talks about inclusivity. And inclusivity happens when everybody is a stakeholder in the educational process. So the doors become open to all segments of the students who may be academically inclined or maybe not academically bright enough. However, they cannot be left behind just because they don't get a certain segmentation of marks. So that's where NEP actually pushes them towards skill-based subjects. There are a whole lot of subjects which are being opened up, which are not exactly very demanding, but also at the same time, it is fulfilling. So these students, I hope, will be able to cope up with these subjects. The only challenge which I find, which can be solved, is the schools typically prepare a timetable, and they look at delegating the teachers and the students as per that timetable. So that openness and flexibility in the schooling system will be required. Now, this becomes foresight for all people, that we need to have more teachers, we need to have more subjects opened up, we need to offer more combinations, because this children will benefit. So that's where the input has to be. The school has to, like in Scindia also, we are providing certain combinations where the child may not be comfortable with, let's say, total sciences, but he likes, let's say, biology, and he wants to do a psychology, and he wants to do a history. So why can't we work around that? Maybe in the afternoon, being a residential school, it gives the residential schools an advantage where the class can happen in the afternoon for that particular subject.
Yes,
but in a day school, they will have to look at maybe some more options. But these children certainly demand this availability by the schools, and Scindia school is making them not tamper and tinker with the combinations so that they get their choices, so that they can also make a life.
Perfect. So you're helping, I mean, students with different skills. Just as a curiosity question, what are the students choosing more of these days? Is there a particular direction that they're going more into? What kind of careers are you opting
Yes,
for?
if I look at the last 2-3 years post-COVID as well, the change is towards economically oriented subjects is one major change. They're looking at robotics. They're looking at creative pursuits, which is a very healthy change. They're looking at design. They're looking at something new is what they talk about, but yet not sure. So involve a science with a non-science, along with some computer backing, kind of, let's say, somewhere where it's designing with computer AI and history behind it, and a kind of physics behind it, so that they cater to a particular segment. So they're coming with fancied ideas, but predominantly I find the students taking up more of economics oriented approach, mathematics, robotics, mechatronics. The area of artificial intelligence is actually exciting them now, because it's growing multifold and manifold. So this is where the direction is leading them to be. They're also interested in, now I can look at, in looking at governance, political science. So they're picking up this subject now. There are huge lot of students in the past 2 years I have seen at Scindia who have taken up pol science and history as a combination. So they're looking at governance, their stake as leaders. So this is where I find biology is coming down substantially. I don't know how, but biology, Corona should have at least taught them that we need to deal with any and every kind of a incumbent virus. So that will have to the students so that they can deal with that emerging domains, health.
Okay, that's very interesting what you're saying, because we're also finding from the students that we counsel that apart from the STEM, which are obviously the most popular, students are looking at the humanities. They're looking at the philosophy and pole science and so on, which actually had dropped in favor for the past many years. So, it's good to see to have students and of course a population that is looking at other subjects rather than just the STEM, because there was so much focus. It was like only the jobs in STEM are available, but that's not the case. And going future, we need to have a combination, which is what you are obviously encouraging as well. Many of the students, I mean, if you look at the data, a large number of students are going overseas, and this has happened once the borders opened. But the largest segment that is going are now for the undergraduate programs, which was not typically the case. I'm sure you must be finding the same, and I'd like to know what you think the reasoning behind that is.
Yes, that's a phenomena which has emerged very clearly. Around 20-25% of our students also opt for undergraduate studies abroad. I mean, that's a minimal kind of a number I'm sharing. And the primary things what they're looking at is, even after the introduction of CUET, the marks and the denominators, the performance essentially is still at a very high level. So what happens to the people who fall below that bracket? So they want to actually look at options which are more safe. They want to explore options which are giving them more exposure. They want to look at options which are more global in nature.
Right.
They want to be a global player, is what I can assume in my interactions with them. So their appeal to universities, US, UK, Canada, Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore, and across, I mean, even Germany now is picking up in some domains where some of my students want to land up in Germany. France is a destination that some of them are looking at for design. They're looking at medical options in somewhere in the West Indies. There are some colleges. So
Yeah.
this have opened up. Yes, and look at, in India, IITs have a definite seat. NEET has a definite seat.
Definitely.
Now,
yeah.
what do the children who aspire but cannot compete land up into? So they look at options beyond India, where there is a different way of getting into those streams and curriculums. So this is what the students are preferring, that there are options because of certain challenges in terms of marks or performance, basically in India. So they want to look at options which open up their kind of exposure.
And money as well.
and of course, they are money-minded, no doubt about it. This is a generation which expects a 6 kind of digit figure to start with.
Yeah,
nothing wrong in it. But however, they have to be brought to a realistic level.
Okay, so they are exploring all these options. How prepared do you think they are to, because there are challenges for our students who are used to a very mollycoddled kind of environment. There is somebody telling them all the time what to study, when to study, how to study. And then, of course, the parents on top of it being the helicopter parents. So our students do face a challenge. How are you as a school getting them ready for this transition?
Our counseling program should, and at Scindia, we make it particularly emphatic that it should start when they are somewhere in mid-8th and 9th, it becomes a regular kind of phenomenon. So they need to know. They need to know the options. They need to know why and how these options work. Let's assume a student who decides in 12th that I want to land up in London School of Economics, and he wants to fill up the forms, he wants to get into it. But eventually we find that he hasn't taken up mathematics. You see, so when we go back and start in 9, that's what we're doing at the school. We explore their opportunities. We give them the information. Suppose you want to do this. Suppose you want to do this. These are the combinations. These are the good universities. And I also want to, from this forum of EDU TV, and you along with here, want to plead to all the Indian parents specifically that the world doesn't start and end with only Ivy Leagues. Exactly. Because that's again a particular set of colleges. But there are equally good universities beyond Ivy Leagues. You need to find the right course at the right campus. And that is where the help comes in, where you need to prepare them. It's not only preparing for the knowledge, for the curriculums, for the exposure. You have to prepare them where, as an example, in US, suppose somebody wants to do it and he is not fully prepared to stay in a very cold climate. We need to also acclimatize them to these conditions.
Yes.
A West Coast, a Midwest, or a kind of East. These are all different conditions. So they have to be tuned in to all the realities, visa, immigration, financial considerations, the cultural barriers, maybe, the academic adjustments, which they are not used to at the moment. And a boarding school may not have that challenge of homesickness, but, current global events can impact now decision-making. There is a Israel something going on. There is a Ukraine-Russia going on. So how does it play with the dynamics of a choice? Should be tackled with in the school in this career counseling sessions. And that's what we try and do with the students, to prepare them to take a decision.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. And I'm so glad you said what you said, because there are many dynamics, and not just the Ivy League universities. And sometimes when you miss the Ivy League or the Tier 1 institutions, there is still a pathway to get there. And those are the areas that we can also help the students, apart from the other things that you were talking about in terms of the support services and so on. So there's a lot of alignment in that area. You know, it's really been good talking to you. I am conscious of the time that we have been given. So pleasure to have spoken to you. And I think it'd be great to interact offline as well. There is a great deal of depth that we would love to, you know, have more interaction with you on. Thank you very much for this, Ajay Singh, and really just wanted to say a big thanks. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chopra. Thank you. And thank you, EDU TV. Pranav, of course, who is, you know, carrying on the beacon of education and all these activities which he ensures keeps on happening.
Bringing all the segments together.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ajay Singh. In fact, I have not met Mr. Singh from last 3.5 to 4 years. But whenever we have some work, I send him a message and we give him 2 options. Yes, oblique yes.
Level up your future. 12th graders chat with Chancellor Tarundeep Anand of Universal AI University on EDU TV. EDU TV with 1 million eyeballs across the globe.
Connecting schools, universities, industries, and corporate houses.